this is Jesús, Manuel, Mena, Garza. I hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, I'm essentially going to be talking about immigration. Yes, this is a rather esoteric YouTube channel. Everything from, photography to travel to RV reviews to now opinions. I always give my opinion. I like to give my opinion. When you get older, you become what? You become more opinionated. So this is my explanation of the history of immigration in the United States as it relates to Mexicans and our southern border, okay? I'm going to keep this very short and concise. I'm not going to elaborate a lot. This is a very simple explanation coming from a relatively simple guy, okay? Okay, the American Southwest and Mexico originally were occupied by who? Indians, American Indians, Navajo, Cherokee, Yaqui, Mayans, etc., etc. That was way before the Europeans came down and decided, hey, this looks pretty nice. Let's rip it off and keep it for ourselves and do our lives here. It's better than what our lives were in in Europe and other continents. So Europeans came from all over the country, especially from England, Europe, France, Spain, Portugal, all over the world to the United States. And of course they imported, chained up a bunch of Africans and said, hey, you come down here and work for us for zero. So that's the history of colonization of the Americas. It wasn't very different in Mexico. It wasn't very different in South America. It wasn't that different in the United States of America. That's how things were done way back when, okay? So, of course, from the East Coast, Europeans started migrating west and colonizing and exploiting the resources and killing off Indians, okay? And whoever was in their way, be they French or anybody, they just wanted to get rid of them just because we want this land and we want it for ourselves. From the South, Mexico, killed their share of Indians. In fact, millions upon millions upon millions of Indians, Americans and Mexicans killed millions of Indians. And then, they converged in the Southwest. Mexico, around the late 1700s, early 1800s, had colonized New Mexico, Arizona, and it was very sparsely populated by Mexicans, okay? And California, going up into Colorado and stuff like that. So, of course, the Mexicans invited Europeans, hey, why don't you colonize here and create a buffer between us and those Americans that are encroaching. Of course, those Europeans that settled in New Braunfels and Houston and stuff like that said, hey, let's just create an independent republic. We don't want to deal with these Mexicans. We don't want to deal with these Americans. Let's just set up the Republic of Texas. And they did that. And Mexico lost that war. And then the Texans said, let's get a war going on. Let's just join up with the rest of the United States and create a war, against these Mexicans. And, of course, the United States and the Texans won that war. So they created this border along the Rio Grande and then going across to California and said, hey, these are new American lands, And of course, all the Europeans started, hey, let's grab some lands. All we have to do is kill off some Indians and some Mexicans, and we're set. Good for us. So that's the next part of the American, Western push. Manifest destiny. You've heard of that. So that continued for quite a while, and the border was quite porous. There's a term they used back in the 60s and 50s. The border was fluid. People can cross, people go back, okay? In my family alone, I have cousins who were born in the United States and moved to Mexico. I have my father's side of the family. My father was born where? He was born in Mexico, but his father was born where? My grandfather was born where? In the United States. So people went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was a very fluid border, okay? And this was advantageous to a lot of American companies. They said, hey, yeah, we like, back in the day before high tech. This is a key point, before high tech. You know, yeah, we needed people to pick those crops. Yeah, we need those folks. Bring them over. They work cheap. You know, Americans won't work cheap, okay? They can't be exploited as well as those Mexicans. And Americans exploited them, you know, willy-nilly. That's a good term, willy-nilly. I got to look that up. And that's the border served really that function. Just get that cheap labor, or we don't care. Just bring them over. And all the Republicans and Democrats said, yeah, it's pretty cool that these Mexicans are coming over working cheap. We love that. We complain about it, but we still don't mind it. We're not creating laws. You know, we have these laws, but we're not enforcing these laws. Yeah, let them come over. Let them pick the crops. Let them do that cheap labor. Let them, you know, do that stuff. And of course, a lot of these Mexicans end up saying, hey, let's stay here for a while. Yeah. And they started families, you know, and, you know, joined the American, quote unquote, mainstream, became assimilated, acculturated, all that sort of stuff. So what changed over the last 10, 20 years? Well, technology. You know, we still need cheap labor. You know, you go walk around Fort Worth, you see people working on the roofs. Who are they? They're Mexicans. Working on carpentry on these new homes. They are Mexicans. They have a white guy, quote unquote, white guy or a Mexican guy. I don't know who, some Latino, but you know, they have a front man saying, we're going to help you build your house. I'm the salesman. I'm the owner of this company. But then who they hire to work and do all the cheap labor? Let's get these Mexicans. We got the crew. We got the plumbing crew. We got the carpenter crew. We got the roofing crew. We got the, you know, sheetrock crew. We got the cement crew. We got the digging ditches crew. Bring them all over. Bring your cousin over. Oh, my cousin's in Chihuahua. Bring them over. We got plenty of work for them, okay? So that's the history of, you know, cheap labor. You go to restaurants in San Francisco, in the back, you go, there's the Mexicans. You go to restaurants in Washington, D.C., oh, those are Mexicans. They're all working all over the place, all across the United States doing labor, cheap labor, okay? Of course, Chicanos eventually, you know, get into the swing of things in the United States, get an education, become doctors, become lawyers, become real estate agents, and, you know, photographers just like me. And, you know, go to college. Some of us, a lot of us don't get to college, but most of us are now getting to college. So again, what has changed? High tech. Americans would rather have people now, apparently, according to Trump and people like that, we'd rather have people that have degrees to create, you know, because we're competing with the rest of the world. We'd rather have those people from India, Pakistan, China, and all around Europe, you know, come, and Africa too, and, you know, South America. We want them to come to our country, you know, work for us. The smartest, the brightest, you know, the brightest. You're the smartest guy in Uruguay, we want you over here working for us. You're the smartest guy in Nigeria, we want you working for us. You're the smartest guy in Finland, hey, come on down. We need you, okay? So we need less cheap labor. Even though if you look around your neighborhood, you go look behind the kitchen and go, hey, bunch of Mexicans. Who's doing that roof on the house in Texas and California, New Mexico, and Louisiana? Oh, those are Mexicans, okay? That's the reality. Immigration laws now have stigmatized Mexicans, making them the scapegoat for a lot of our issues. When for a long time it was okay to bring them around to do those certain jobs, okay? Now we're saying, hey, those Mexicans are the reason why you're doing so crappy. It's not the fact that you have no education. It's not because there's no longer that job anywhere working in the coal mines, let me say again. Coal mining is going downhill. And there's no such thing as clean coal, by the way. It's all dirty coal, okay? Dirty coal. So there's jobs that are disappearing all across America, you know. And what used to be manufacturing in the United States is now corporations say, hey, we can either hire an American to do it for $10, $15, $20 an hour, or $25 an hour. And if they're union, $35, $40 an hour. Or we can send that job to China. We're still the board of directors, and we're still going to get our money. We're going to get a lot of money. In fact, we're going to probably get a bonus for doing this. And we can send it to China and pay them 75 cents an hour. Did you know in 2019, an engineer, that's somebody with an advanced degree, working in China makes $1.50 an hour if they're lucky. Okay? You can imagine what an assembler, a little piecemeal, spot solderer for an electronics company makes probably diddly squat, huh? So they don't want to pay Americans for that. So they're shipping all these jobs over there. And of course, who does everybody blame in the United States for killing American jobs? They don't blame those corporations for shipping those jobs to China, to Vietnam, to Bangladesh and stuff like that, or Honduras. They complain about the Mexicans. Those damn Mexicans are taking our jobs. They aren't taking your jobs. They aren't taking your jobs, They aren't. Okay. So that's my concise history of issues regarding immigration. To this date, Trump has deported less Mexicans, less immigrants than Barack Obama. In the Latino community, Barack Hussein Obama was called the deporter-in-chief. He deported more Latinos, Mexicans, Hondurans, Costa Ricans, Nicaraguenses, those folks, than Donald J. Trump, okay? So, but of course, the ire of the Latino community is focused on Trump, when in fact, it's systemic, okay? It's been going on since, Obama and way before him. So how do we solve this issue? My answer is pretty succinct. We have to come up with a policy, a national policy that's enforceable regarding immigration. It's not building a wall. It's just a systemic issue. People want to come here because of jobs and also, terrorism and gang warfare in their own countries. So a lot of them are coming from, Central America. And what kind of people are these, by the way? This is the funny and sad part. Okay, most of these people trying to get to the United States are indigenous people. These are Mayans, Mestizaje, and other people from that region, African, Latins. They're trying to get here. The indigenous folks are trying to get back to another part of what used to be indigenous America. Amazing, huh? So what can we do? We got to create a policy by which we are more firm in regards to who and what and when and how people can get here. Period. There has to be some sort of consensus. I don't want that many people here in the United States. I don't want everybody and their mother coming down here. I don't want that. I want this country to be, 300, 400 million people. That's perfectly fine for me. But Americans, sadly, very sad, Democrats and Republicans just like to fight. They can't come to a consensus. Somebody wants to build a wall. That's pretty goofy, a little wall. That's like it's going to stop everybody. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time, but, what can you say? Certain people say dumb stuff, and people accept it. They go, hey, he's going to build a wall. That's going to solve all our problems. Bullshit, okay? So we got to come up with some sort of consensus in America. Can we come to a consensus? That's the question. Will it happen next year, after that? Who knows? Those are the questions and problems we have regarding immigration in the United States of America. If you have any questions or comments, please send them, put them down below the description. I like to hear comments and questions. I'll be more than happy to give you my 2 cents, of course. And try to be professional and nice, okay? Don't say, you goddamn Mexicans got to get the hell out of here. You're destroying our country. You Mexicans are destroying our country. That's just insane, okay? We're not destroying the country. Those people that send the jobs overseas, those corporations, those 1%ers, 2%ers that send the jobs overseas and screw you and you still defend them, that's the stupidity, okay? Don't defend these, big corporations that want to send your jobs overseas, okay? Try to keep jobs in America. There's no reason why we can't have good jobs in America, okay? And good salaries in America. Not 2, 3, 4, crappy jobs just to make ends meet, okay? So this has been Jesús Manuel Mena Garza giving you my opinion. Talking about, immigration, be it illegal, legal, whatever you want to call it, okay? People moving from place to place around the world. It's been going on for generations, years, eons. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I would greatly appreciate it. From Fort Worth, Texas, gracias, adios, bye-bye.